All right. Hey, no alarms. We don't have to lose our minds, fellas. Smile, Steve. We can smile. They won. They won the game. That's what we talked about. We said, hey, everything is fine. We're good. I know the Chargers are doing what they're doing. And yes, the bastards did get to 3-0. I don't know what Denver's doing. Should have won that game. They should have won that game. All right. I'll be honest with you, little worried about the Chargers big play game. The Chiefs were running wild against them with backups, and Tyquan Thornton seemed to get behind them anytime they won it. And then they just, literally 4 touchdowns, and they went 1 for 4. Like it literally just, Sutton multiple times. They had touchdowns. Bo Nix is probably outside at some sort of a high school field in Inglewood or I don't know what other outside city is, and maybe he's out there at Colorado's campus and just throwing deep balls.
Just going to Boulder.
Yeah, just going to Boulder, just throwing deep balls and trying to hit folks. But they won. So we're in a good place. We don't have to lose our minds about trying to figure out 0-3. Nope. They're 1-2, and they're facing this Ravens team that's 1-2. We'll get to it. I guess we are the pros here, okay? The people who are listening to us, which is, I believe, at least a top 75 Chiefs podcast out there. I just know it is. This has to be. Has to be. Number one in my heart, but at least a top 77 podcast, Chiefs-specific podcast that comes out on Fridays. It has to be. They look at us to be the experts. They look at us to be able to hold our fandom down and give a real analysis. They trust us. Even you, Steve. They trust us. Even me. They trust us, BK. And the thought is that first half was horrific. In every single manner, it felt like it was awful. We got a quarterback playing dodgeball. He got Isaiah Pacheco out a couple of times. We got people, I think, running wrong routes. It was just penalties all over the place. 6 of them. Even Andy, who doesn't say anything, Andy had to hit us with that second quarter was a tough one to watch there. We got Travis and Andy, who has been waiting for his chest bump receipt since that Super Bowl. He squared up Travis's ass. By the way, can we get Taylor back at the games, please? I don't know what's going on. I don't think she's been to a game.
I think she has been at games, but she's really upped her security, and she's not like showing herself at these games because of the Charlie Kirk thing. And then like she's got like a stalker situation going on right now that like the guy got out of jail and now nobody can find him, so they don't know where he's at. And so I think just like staying out.
What happened with Kelsey's house this week or something, right?
I
haven't heard about that.
I want to say I strongly appreciate you for bringing up those last 2 points because I was on a roll and I was going to challenge Taylor in a major way. And it started with her not being selfish. So yeah, I'm glad.
Trespasser was arrested this week at Kelsey's home in Leawood.
Should have been in Lee Summit. Might have had a better shot. Glad we got it. All right, Taylor, you just keep living your life. All right. maybe they don't need to show her.
I think she's been there. I just don't think she's been showing her face to the national audience.
Just something feels different. I just really feel like that might be a thing that could really jumpstart.
Ron had a take brewing. Serda gave like exactly 5 seconds worth of information, and Ron said, "You know what? Backing off of this one."
Yeah, backing off. That was a real challenge to her. I was going to swear in there too. But I guess the thought with Taylor being there, but not being seen, the first half was awful, but the second half, and a lot of people look at the first drive, but I've watched all of the drives in that second half, and they all felt different. And they all felt different than really anything we've seen. There was a drive against the Chargers when they finally got their bearings of, oh, God, Worthy's not going to be out, so let's just throw 17 consecutive 5-yard routes to Hollywood Brown and get down the field and Pat run one in, right? Even that, like this is, they had one against the Eagles where they scored, but it still didn't feel rhythm. It felt like Pat had to run some more and a penalty or something. All of those drives felt like there was rhythm. Every one of them, from the first one that ended in the Thornton touchdown, the second one that should have continued, but somehow Thornton and Mahomes didn't connect on what was a great play call. Hell, he had Hollywood open if he wanted it, and Thornton was open. It should have been a chunk play, but they couldn't connect. And Andy sure as hell wasn't going to do what he did the previous week again, and so he punted the football. I know he wanted to. By the way, I don't like that, Andy. You be aggressive, and pick up that first down. Anyway, and then they score the touchdown where they repeatedly just start throwing deep shots that were open. All right, every one of those drives there was rhythm. We saw jet sweeps. We saw separation. We saw what we needed to see for this current group, because we can't talk about what it's going to look like with Rice. We may be able to talk about Worthy. He's practiced again. We'll see. But for right now, before they get whole, do you think the Chiefs found something offensively in the second half that they can hang their hat on to make you feel good?
So I think some people are asking what I believe to be the wrong question on this, Ron, because I think some people are looking for them to have answers for the season. Like they want them to figure out who they are offensively right now and to get back on track. I don't think that's realistic. All I'm asking for them to do is do enough offensively to keep them relevant, to keep them afloat until week 7. If they can do that, man, I have no doubt that this team's going to make it to the playoff. That's my honest to God opinion. The AFC is seemingly horrible this season. It's not just the Chiefs, like everybody. I mean, your Texans down there in Houston, Ron, woof. You want to talk about a rough start when it comes to what they're doing offensively. That has been an atrocity.
Never been my Texans, but go ahead. I got you.
You live there. You know how this works. The entire AFC right now is just crumbling. Hell, the team that you're playing this week is in the exact same position that you are, and they don't have the same reinforcements coming back as what you do. So to answer your question, though, do I think they found some things? I hope so. I think so. But I don't think that we're going to know with any certainty until we see it tested against a real team like they're going to play against this weekend. Can I just one quick follow-up on that, though, Ron? Do you guys know where the Chiefs rank right now in points per drive? Just on an on-average basis, how many points you score every time you possess the football? Where do you think the Chiefs rank right now offensively?
I mean, they feel like they're like a lot of their numbers, maybe middle of the pack. Like 17, 18.
Serda, what would you guess? Points per drive for the Chiefs.
Like 16.
6th. Is that shocking to you guys? Because when I saw that, I was like, what?
Must be better enough the field goals.
Yes, basically that's what's happening. They're scoring on almost 50% of their drives so far on the season. So while it feels like this slog and they're second in plays per drive, their drives last seemingly 14 plays per drive right now, and each of them is going for 3.5 yards. They're finding ways to be effective. So it's not a pretty watch. It's not a fun watch, but they've actually been pretty effective, all things considered. And until Rashee Rice gets back and until Xavier Worthy gets back, which fingers crossed sounds like it could be this week, that's really all I can ask of this offense, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I like that. What they did in the second half, and again, like when you say a real team, I actually dispute that. When you say a real team, like they didn't play the Giants offense. Like the Giants, like would you say that they're facing a tougher defense this week than they faced last week? I mean, there's some different things, but would you
the pass rush last week is better than the pass rush that
I was going to say their front seven that is especially the way that the Ravens are playing, right? I mean, they're giving up 32 points a game. Now, I know the Lions and the Bills mix in there, but they weren't particularly great against the Browns. They just don't have a lot going there. All right. The Giants, like that front seven, what they're doing, like they may not run up against a front four, front five. I mean, they got so many damn edge rushers. They got to use one to play stand-up linebacker, right? I mean, I don't know how that's working, but like they presented challenges, right? That like there are going to be easier defenses that the Chiefs run into this year, and that second half, although I don't think it is the plan of what they wanted to do, guys, I swear to God, I did it to myself again. I watched the first quarter and a half of the Bears preseason game, and just to get an understanding of what this thing was supposed to look like. And I mean, they don't even look like the same thing. I mean, to the thought of like, if that's what they can get to, like, I mean, there were routes where everybody, short, intermediate, or deep, they were all open. There was a route where he hits Thornton deep, and I mean, coming across for about 15 yards across was Rashid Rice, and he had 2 steps on his guy. And then coming the other way to run an over route the other way is Worthy. He's got 3 steps with the safety, then clearing it out and running away and leave. I mean, Kelsey was open. I'm just like, okay, if they could just get there, there is a completely different picture. I think everything works. But the way they ran the football, which, again, wasn't amazing, right? Nobody on the team has longer than an 11-yard carry right now, right? But it was, hey, 4 or 5 here, 6 here. Then when they got under center, we get a 10-yard carry from Pacheco that sets them up deeper in the red zone. Like, and then it was just a rhythm. It might have been 8, 9, 10, 12 plays, but it was a rhythm that they were in. And the only time in that second half they stopped themselves, or they got stops when they stopped themselves, when Mahomes and Thornton didn't connect. And then, obviously they were just trying to waste time and not trying to score. Well, Pat was, but they weren't trying to score. So I don't know if they could do that consistently, because there ain't nothing that they've done right now that shows that they can do it consistently. But if they can play that element of football, if that can be their offense until they get everybody back, and then obviously if Worthy comes back, you would think it expands it. If that's their off, they can win with that, with their defense, because now we're getting closer to what they have been the last 2 years. If they can get their offense to run like it did in the second half.
I do think that second half was the first time this season that I felt like it looked like an offense that was like, wasn't perfect, but was at least like running semi smoothly. Like they were actually like putting things together, and it wasn't just Mahomes running around and trying to pick up rushing yards, or Mahomes just flinging it downfield and hoping for something good to happen. Like, it was the first time all season it felt like they were playing like within the structure of the offense, and they were running the football a little bit and mildly effectively, and it was kind of helping everything else out. And so I just think, like, I don't know if they dramatically figured anything out offensively, because I think they just have to get these guys healthy. But we at least learned that the Chiefs can like put together a competent offensive game plan and actually like move the football a little bit when they aren't just constantly shooting themselves in the foot and making mistakes over and over and over again.
One other thing that I would add on this is I think the offense looked better when it wasn't being run through Hollywood Brown. I think that's a big part of what took place against the Giants. Hollywood just isn't a go-to guy. In fact, like I think he's going to be, when everybody comes back, the fourth or fifth best receiver on the roster. I would have him probably fifth on the team, even behind Juju Smith-Schuster.
That is weird because he is the leading receiver on the team right now. But a lot of it is that first game,
and he had like 16 targets or whatever it was. I think this team, the best receiver right now on the roster is Tyquan Thornton among the active roster. When Xavier Worthy returns, if that's this week, he will slot in obviously in front of Tyquan Thornton. And that's something that I'm really curious about. But I think that's part of what they found in this game was going to Tyquan Thornton more often, not just on deep shots, but primarily in that way. Juju Smith-Schuster had his best game of the season thus far and was far more involved in the passing game than he had been previously. And I think that's something that they need. They need Juju to be that guy that, hey, it's 3rd and 7, go get us 8. And he's capable of that. I feel really comfortable with him winning on those kinds of routes across the middle. So Hollywood just has nothing after the catch. He does not win at the catch point. I know people were freaking out in that game about the defensive pass interference that he should have drawn. I agree. It was defensive pass interference. He can't play through contact. So that's another thing that I would add to the conversation is I think they just got their best dudes more involved. And unfortunately for Hollywood, he's not up there on that list for me right now. And I think the offense runs smoother when he's not the one that they're primarily targeting.
It was so much better getting the ball in Juju's hands and seeing him break tackles and like create. And yeah, I don't think Juju can do that for like a full season, like at this point of his career, but it'll work right now. Like the first 2 weeks they were trying to do that with Hollywood, and it was just like running straight into a brick wall over and over again, because every time anybody tapped him, he was down. Like he cannot break tackles. That is just not his game. He needs to get open with speed down the field and create separation, and that's how he can win. He is not a guy that's going to break tackles and make guys miss in the open field. That's just simply not who he is as a player. Juju can actually break tackles, and that's why he was so much more effective at that in week 3. Like it just, I felt so much better about the offense just seeing them go out of their way to like get Juju a little bit more involved than what they were doing the first 2 weeks with Hollywood.
Now, with all this being said, they are still 1-2, and they have another team that's 1-2 coming in that many people believe have either the best or the second best roster in the sport. And they have lost 2 of their games. I think they're very similar to the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs have lost their 2 games to 2 of what people believe are the better teams in the league, and so did the Ravens. But with all that being said, they dropped to 1-3. They got problems. So like both teams do. And so this is still, even though they found something, they've got to put that to work because the margin of error is diminished with them going 0-2 to kick things off.
So I think it's a bigger deal for the Ravens than the Chiefs. If the Chiefs lose this weekend, I will still not be panicked, Ron. They did what they needed to do. I said this last week. I'm going to hold firm on this. I said this before the start of the season, to be fair. Like I was concerned about these first 6 weeks, and I said, hey, this receiver stuff is a problem, and you could end up with like a 2-4 record after the first 6 weeks. Even if that happens, I'm not panicked. I think the Chiefs will still make it to the playoffs. The AFC, as I mentioned earlier, that's part of it. The other thing that's part of it, though, is just the championship pedigree on this roster. I don't have a concern that they're going to start breaking apart from the seam. I do have some of that with the Ravens, man. You already saw it with Derrick Henry on the sideline in that Detroit Lions game after he fumbled. He looked like it was a, oh no, here we go again moment. If they lose this game, Ron, I know the Texans are not a good team, but they do have a very good defense. They could win that game against the Baltimore Ravens the following week. The LA Rams could absolutely then beat the Baltimore Ravens. It is not out of the realm of the possible. They could start the year 1-5 going into their bye week. I don't know how Baltimore responds to that. I think the Chiefs would find a way to figure it out. I trust this coaching staff. I trust these players. I trust this leadership. The Ravens' schedule sets up in a way where they still could get it back on track and still end up making the playoffs, but I don't have the same level of confidence saying that they would that I do about the Chiefs. So I actually think this is a bigger game, strangely enough, for the Ravens than it is for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, I think you're insane. I think it's equally big for both teams because just the way you could say that. Well, let me tell you what the Chiefs have shown us this year. Because the further they get into a hole, the further away that I'm just going to keep saying, well, they're the same team that's been able to dig itself out of certain things. At some point, I'm looking at this right now like, listen, we kicked off this thing with, did they find something in the second half against the Giants? They didn't play particularly well against the Giants as a whole. Like if that were almost any other team on their schedule, they legit may have lost that game and not won by 13. Right? What they have proven to us this year thus far is, yeah, they can hang in with anybody and find some way, but they can lose, really, to anybody just with the struggles they can have offensively and the struggles they can have making plays. Hopefully they come out of that. But if they lose this game and they're at 1-3, you want to talk about the Texans? Well, the Texans just lost to the team that they play next on the road. They play the Jags. Then they follow up the game against that team that just beat the brakes off of the Baltimore Ravens, the Lions. Then they play the Raiders. Okay, they should be able to take care of that one. Then they got the Commanders. Then they have the Bills on the road going into theirs, right? Like the Commanders, Bills, Lions, and Jags think they're all going to go to the playoffs, and they're all above 500 at this point. Like, and two of them are Super Bowl contenders, and maybe the Commanders, right? Like that's a hell of it. Then they come out of there, and then they get the Broncos, and then the Colts, right? Like after that, like this is like I've heard that a lot. In any way you want to, the Chiefs' division could get away from them further than the Ravens, right? Like right now, it's Jake Browning and the Bengals, and then whatever the hell that is with Pittsburgh, who's playing backwards, and right when they start playing good teams, they're gonna lose. Like I think they can recover with that division. The Chargers, they're gonna play Jackson Dart and this Giants team, so they're gonna go 4-0, right? Like that, like and their schedule for a team that won 12 games and finished or 11 games and finished in second place is about as easy as the damn Bills is. Again, I don't know how Buffalo got the schedule they got. I don't know. This next 5 they have right now. I mean, we got the Saints coming up. They got the Falcons. I don't know how they pulled this off. But I think the Chiefs, they got to win because now they will have lost 2 home games. They'll lost two of the games they've lost would be home games.
The one thing I'd throw out there, Ron, like just as a retort, and Serda, I'm curious your thoughts on this. I think that the Chiefs could easily make the claim, unlike the Ravens, hey, most of this is due to our lack of weapons that we had available. Whereas the Ravens, I mean, if they want to, I suppose they could blame the injuries defensively, but they have warts all over the place. And I don't know that reinforcements are coming for them, where I can at least convince myself reinforcements are coming to change the process, to change the issues with the Chiefs. I can't tell myself that same story necessarily with Baltimore.
Yeah, and the Ravens, it's like what John Harbaugh said this week about Nandi Madubuike is like not encouraging. Like he's dealing with a serious neck injury, and he was like, I haven't been given the green light to comment on his situation. Like what does that mean? Like, does that mean he's not coming back this season? Like, he is their best defensive lineman by a long shot, and Kyle Van Noy's been banged up, and I know Kyle Van Noy is really important to their defense last season. But at the end of the day, like, this has been Baltimore's issue the past couple of years on the defensive side, where their secondary's been really good, but now outside of Kyle Hamilton, like, their cornerbacks haven't totally worked out outside of Marlon Humphrey being an elite corner, and he's just getting old now. And then their pass rush has been fine, like when they're healthy, but it hasn't been dominant. They don't have any dominant pass rushers, and they were hoping they got that in Mike Green, who is a rookie who could probably still develop into a really nice player for them, but he hasn't shown it so far in his NFL career. And Odafe Owe has just been like a fine, serviceable defensive lineman, but not a highly impactful player for them. And so that's been the big issue on the defensive side of the ball. And then their offensive line just isn't really that good. Like the Chiefs' offensive line, you can talk yourself into being like it's going to get better. Like they're going to find a way. Kingsley showing signs of improvement, kind of after 3 weeks. Josh Simmons, haven't even seen his ceiling yet, but he's been good enough. He's been better than anything you had last season. Then you get the offensive guys back. You can totally talk yourself into the Chiefs like a ceiling that we haven't even like begin to realize yet until they get all of these guys back onto the field.
Yeah, I hear you. I think we can also talk ourselves into we can flip it. Like I think we can. Like I think there's some other things that we can talk about. Like BK said last week, I think they're going to get better. But what the hell's going on with Creed and Trey? Right? Like whatever you get to, you've lost 2 home games, and now you're 0 for the conference. You've lost 2 home games. And you're 0 for the conference. Your next home game is the Lions. And then you go on the road to Jacksonville, where the way we've watched them play this year, the way they played against the Giants, they would have lost to Jacksonville. Right? Like now the Ravens game can go a long way to showing you, like, all right, they come in there and they play in that game and they win that game. Now you're starting to feel different. I do agree with you a lot of the reinforcement, but I'm just saying you sit there 1-3 with Jacksonville and Detroit coming about. Hell, you could be 1-5. Like you could be staring at that just like they can. I mean,
the difference is I'll trust the Chiefs to get there. I don't know that I would have that same belief in the Ravens.
I hear that. They sitting there at 1-5. BK, I swear to God to you, you will not be sitting here. Yeah, just trust the Chiefs to get out of it. Like I'm not saying that you won't, but I'm just saying that you won't be sitting there just comfortable at 1-5. It
won't be a comforting feeling. It
won't be a comfortable one. Neither one of them will be. Like, yeah. So I don't know. I don't know with that thing. All right, let's do this. When the Chiefs have the ball, we don't have to stick on this long if you don't want to. Patrick Mahomes, I hold to a extreme high standard, like the highest standard of any athlete going, above the standard of Josh Allen, above the standard of Lamar, who he's playing, above the standard of Burrow, above the standard of Hurts, Stafford, whoever it is. I hold him to the highest of standards because I believe he's the best player in football. I have felt like I've had a conversation like this multiple times on this pod, but we've arrived there again. And we just talked about what it could be and who they have facing. All right. Now he is facing Lamar Jackson. They will face the Lions soon. They will face the Bills. They will face Washington. They're 1-2. They don't want to go 1-3. They need to get back in this thing. And they have had some struggles on offense for a lot of reasons. We've kind of gone through them. The weapons are a big one. The injuries are a big one. Not having Worthy, not having Rice, it's a completely different picture. But Patrick Mahomes has not been playing like the best player in football. He's been good. He's been good. Has he been better than Josh Allen? No. I'm going to be honest with you right now. I don't think the Chiefs are 1-2 if Josh Allen were the quarterback for the 3 games. Has he been better than Lamar? I don't think so. Now, I'm not willing to go that far as what I just said because, hell, they're sitting here 1-2. But Joe Burrow, before he got injured, like he's not been playing to that standard. He's not been playing to the standard of Justin Herbert. The way Justin Herbert has played these 3 games, I do not believe the Chiefs would be 1-2 if to be their quarterback. The Chargers game, he broke his neck and did everything he could. The last 2 games, he has not played to the standard. And we need to see that. They need him to do that because we know Jawan Taylor's going to F up. By the way, Andy Reid has made it very clear again today that Jawan Taylor is not going anywhere. But he's going to mess up. Isaiah Pacheco is not great. There's a ceiling to him. He's not going to make big plays, the odds are. Kareem's, he's got his thing. Juju doing the best he can. Hollywood Brown, he's catching it and going down. I thought he'd create a little bit more separation than he does, but doesn't. Right. They're doing the best they can. They're going to have mistakes. The person that I expect to not just have blunders is Patrick Mahomes in games because he is a fixer, the best fixer I've ever seen in my life. And he needs to fix things. Now, he has done it. He drew that long penalty that gave them a field goal at the end of the half, right? He has done the things, but he also threw the ball behind the line of scrimmage to people who weren't looking at him. Now, whether that's his fault that those people were where they were, damn it, he sure as hell shouldn't have thrown the ball behind him at people's feet on the ground while they're laying down on the ground. He made Josh Allen first 2-year plays where everyone would say, what the F? Not once, but twice he threw the ball behind the line of scrimmage. Now, he's Patrick Mahomes, so everyone is praising his competitive spirit by going to go take the ball from the guy, which was an amazing play, but he should have not thrown the ball to begin with there. 3rd down, 2 minutes left. You're up 22-9. He tries to throw a deep ball in double coverage to who? The person who Serda just said 20 minutes ago is not good at the point of attack of the ball. He tried to throw a double coverage and almost gave it. That was a Josh Allen play of like, what the hell? He's got to pick it up. I'm not saying that he's been bad. He's not been an MVP candidate in the last 2 games. And that is the level that I expect him to play regardless, but damn sure when he's got this around him.
See, I just think that's an unfair standard when he's got this around him. That's where I would come from. I think the supporting cast is not up to snuff right now. I don't think that I agree Josh Allen, maybe he would be playing slightly better. I think a lot of that has to do with what he would do with his legs, not necessarily what he would be capable of with his arms. Same thing would be true for Lamar Jackson in this offense right now. I don't think that they have the weapons to be able to function at a high level, no matter who the quarterback is. The offensive line is still kind of working out the kinks, and the receivers right now are probably a bottom 5 unit in the entire NFL with what you have available to you. I continue to say I think Tyquan Thornton is the best player. He was somebody that could not get on the field for the New England Patriots as recently as a couple of seasons ago. So I think that you're in a really bad place right now with your weapons. I think that could change this week. If Xavier Worthy gets back onto the field, he changes things for me because he's a guy that does win at the point of attack. He is somebody who does fight through contact. He does a lot of the same things that Hollywood does, but he's just better at them. He hasn't gone through the same injuries that Hollywood has, and I think he still has the athleticism that Hollywood at this point in his career I don't think maintains. So I think that my analysis on all of this, the bar to clear on this, grading on the curve, it'll change going into this weekend if Xavier Worthy is available, and then certainly once again when they get Rashee Rice back on this roster. But for right now, I think Mahomes has played really well this season, man. I disagree. I think that the Pacheco play that everybody has talked about, now the screen one, I think he was just getting rid of it. Now him throwing it behind him, or maybe throwing it behind him on that play, yeah, that's not great. But the other one, the one where Pacheco's going into the flat, I think he was shocked that Pacheco turned and ran the wrong way. And by the time that he was getting ready to throw it as a check down because he's being pressured, he like stops midway through his motion because he can't believe where Isaiah Pacheco has found himself, and he couldn't stop himself all the way. I think that's what that play was. So I didn't really make much of that one at all. I thought that was more on Pacheco than it was on Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, listen. Okay, we can squabble on that one. I don't think it's unfair because I am talking about especially the controllables. I think he can control not throwing the ball, let's say one of the times. I think he can control not throwing the ball at his feet behind the line of scrimmage. I think he can control not putting the ball in harm's way up 22-9 and throwing a jump ball into double coverage to Hollywood Brown. He stopped the clock too ahead of the 2-minute warning. Like, I think he can do those things. I don't know about you. I'm not going to back you in a corner, BK or Serda, but I will just say it for myself. There have been far, far too many times for the standard that I hold him. There have been far too many times where I'm like, damn, how did you not hit that throw? Like, and I'm talking about with the guys he has, like the percentage of how many times Tyquan Thornton, and like I want to stop this because I know we want to talk about Xavier Worthy here in a second, and we can move into that. But this one we got to stop doing with Tyquan Thornton. I know we got to get our minds thinking this is a guy that we didn't know if was going to make the team or not. I don't know. I'm not saying Tyquan Thornton is going to go to the Pro Bowl or anything like that. All I know is in every one of the games they've played this year, regardless of what is happening, at some point, we got to start giving the cat like some real credit of he is behind people. He is open. He is. I mean, I bet you, I can go off the top of my head 3 to 5 occasions in every game that he is somehow got steps, beat people. I mean, we go to the Giants game. They went 1 for 4 on clear, and these are just not even watching the all 22 that they've missed. Like that, there's a big play. Mahomes has got to hit him. He has got him. He didn't give him a chance. That one where they faked the screen to Hollywood and he comes up and just put it up and let him go get it. I mean, like that. There was one where he hit a post where he won, I mean, immediately. And he had the whole other side of the field to throw the ball to. And he waited late, threw it behind him, and the corner came back and broke it up. Right? Like, there just been too many times that Tyquan Thornton and Kelce, what the hell was that in the first quarter where Kelce was standing 7 yards away from him? And he was just like,
Kelce stopped. I mean, that's on Kelce.
Oh, the God, he just threw it to him. There was a lane right there for him to throw it to him.
Yeah, but he's throwing to a spot based upon the zone coverage there, not throwing to a man. I blame Kelce for that 100%.
Okay. All right. I don't know how we get away with that. He threw it. He ended up throwing it behind him. He didn't throw it. If he was moving it to a spot, he'd have thrown it in front. He threw it behind him and low. That again, Chris Collinsworth, again, as he said, like I was saying, I don't know what that was. I don't know what that was. I'm just saying too many times there is Kelce's made some errors too. He's in his thing, but Patrick Mahomes has not played like an MVP. And for me, in my opinion, it is not just due to the stuff that's around him. That's part of it. It is not just due to the stuff around him, though. I think Josh Allen hits far more better percentage of those open throws that he's missed. I think Lamar hits him. I think Burrow hits him. I think Herbert hits him. And I know he's better than all of them. We just need to start seeing that. I'm sorry. But as you said, the potential return of Xavier Worthy could really be a game changer for this complete team.
It changes everything because he's a guy that can win at every level. He's a guy that can win underneath. Serda mentioned it earlier today, what Juju Smith-Schuster was able to provide, just a little bit of the yards after contact. It's something that he became very good at that last year. I thought he would maybe be early on just a deep threat, guy, gadget player, those kinds of things. His speed, yes, allows him to win deep, but they've got Tyquan Thornton. And by the way, Thornton right now is on pace for 60 deep shots over the course of the season. Just to put that in context, Tyreek Hill, the most that he ever had in a single season as a Chiefs player was 48. They are targeting the hell out of him deep. So I agree with you, Ron. They do eventually have to start hitting on some more of those. I like that they're at least trying it, though, which is something they did not do a year ago.
Hey, BK, Serda, do you think what he's done the first 2-3 weeks that he is going to start to back people up? Like, do you think people are like, do you think we go into this Ravens game and they start to react, especially if Worthy's in there? I think they will. but do you think Tyquan Thornton has done enough these first 3 weeks that he is potentially changing how defenses, because they play with no fear that anybody's going.
Yeah.
I think that's part to do with why he's been running free.
I mean,
Now,
I think, yeah, probably, because they'll look at that and they'll be like, oh, he's been the only guy that can create explosives for them. But then if they do that, it's like with Worthy back in the mix, it's like, okay, well, Mahomes can pick you apart and then maybe free it up downfield.
Space.
Exactly. That's why I think it changes everything. When Worthy and Thornton are both on the field, you have to respect that as a defense. You have to have safeties that are going over the top, because if you don't, those guys are going to run free. And now you're potentially giving up a deep shot at any moment in the game. And that's one thing that the Chiefs offense has just not really had much of over the last couple of seasons, really the last 3 years now, is the ability to win over the top. So with Worthy back, it changes that. It adds that element back into the offense on top of what you already had there with Thornton. It just, to me, it completely changes the look of the offense. And my hope is that will also open things up underneath for Travis Kelce. So now he gets some more of those open looks. And then when Rashid gets back, that's the few weeks down the road, but he now gets some of that stuff underneath as well, because those safeties are going to be out of the box. So it allows everything to operate more smoothly. And for right now, maybe that's Juju that's going underneath with Worthy and Thornton on the outside. So yeah, I think it changes everything, Ron. It sounds like he was a full participant at practice earlier today. Worthy is such a huge part of what they were going to try to do offensively. I just want to see what level of health he's at, because if you're getting 100% Worthy, that changes everything. If you're getting like 60% Worthy, it helps you. I just don't know what that means.
Yeah, and the Ravens are going to test him physically to see if he's in that space. Hopefully, Travis doesn't try to test him himself. The Ravens, as we're talking about when the Chiefs get the ball, the Ravens are coming off of just getting the ball ran down their throats. They gave up 224 yards, and that's with the help of kneel downs. It was worse. They give up 224 yards on 30 rushes. Montgomery, look out if you had him in fantasy. I mean, he had like 12 carries for $150. I mean, he had a 72-yard run. Gibbs was running. This has not been the Chiefs' strong suit. You just talked about it. Nnamdi Madubuike, his injury. Van Noy, his injury. I think as of today, one of their other nose tackles showed up on the injury report, and he didn't practice as well. So there's some guys up front that they can be struggling in. Now, in the second half, Pacheco and Hunt ran the ball more efficiently and more effectively than they had that stretch maybe all season. Is this the week that the run game improves? Because the Ravens' run defense, especially last week, has been a struggle.
No. I mean, it's just not what they do. And I do think that in the second half against the Giants, it was the first time all year that like we saw them kind of like try to use the run a little bit. And I think it was effective for what it is, but it's just not who they are. They're just not going to do it. And so we don't need to convince ourselves, because if they weren't going to do it against the Giants, and they're certainly not going to do it against the Ravens, they're going to go out there and they're going to throw and they're going to try to put up points. And maybe they do lean into the run a little bit more just based off of the positive return that they got from it in the second half against the Giants. But it's simply not who they are. So we don't need to waste time talking about it as if they're going to come out and run the football 30 times like the Lions did. Because the Lions are perfectly okay with doing that. The Chiefs just simply aren't that team and have never been that team.
Agreed. I would also add this. I'm getting pretty sick of the Isaiah Pacheco experience, and I'm somebody that liked Isaiah Pacheco. I gave him a full mulligan on last year. He's hurt. He's not even close to 100%. He's trying to come back, battling back for his team. I respect the hell out of it, and I appreciate it. This year, one of the reasons that I had optimism about the Chiefs running game is because, like, all right, well, you've got a healthy Isaiah Pacheco back, and the last time that we saw him healthy, he was pretty good for the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, he's not been this year. He's been pretty horrible. so far on the season. He's adding nothing in the explosiveness category, the way that he did a couple of years ago. He doesn't seem as confident in taking on contact as he was a couple of years ago as well. And now he's just making these huge mental errors, including the one that I referenced earlier in the passing game. I don't know what they do in order to alleviate those problems. They don't seem to trust any of their other running backs as well. I'm open to Rashad Smith getting more opportunities. I'm open to just saying, you know what, it's going to have to be a bigger load on, I guess you're going to go with Kareem Hunt. I'm open to whatever they decide to do, but Isaiah Pacheco, to me, he's got like 1 or 2 more weeks of watching this version of him before they need to make some kind of a move.
Yeah, I think they're probably going to make a move. My only thing is, listen, he's never going to be great, and he's probably never going to be to the level that he was right before he got hurt. If you can get him to the level that he was a couple of years ago, where still there wasn't a bunch of 100-yard games in there, but there were good, tough yards, and he did it. If you can get him to that could be good. But I also want to see, I think he's affected by the lack of space. I think he's affected by the lack of fear of going down the field, and teams just, everything is so congested. Everybody is up at the line of scrimmage, and everybody is up there, that I think with Worthy and the eye candy, and I think there in some way can help the run game too, to create some more space. Again, not like that outside zone run he had, like it was a 10-yard run, but I mean, you look at it, there's some other backs that could have housed that. There's some other backs that takes that 10-yard run into, a 20-yard run. And I mean, you've got Kareem Hunt, who just turns really anything into 5 yards. He'll turn in a 2-yard run into 5, but he'll turn in what a 20-yard run should be into 5 yards. Like, he's just a 5-yard runner. Like, that's what he does, and tough back. But Serda, you kind of took the words out of my mouth in this game. Let's not get in here and get crazy and fall for that trap, though, this week. You're not Detroit. Like you said, you don't have Gibbs and Montgomery, right? Like, I think they should run the ball. I don't like it when they just abandon it, like I felt like they did against the Chargers. I don't like that. I think they should run the football, but that they shouldn't go there. When I watch basketball games, there's nothing that pisses me off more, where people be like, "Yeah, man, they just don't have a lot of size, so let's go inside." But those aren't your best players, and that's not what you do. This is not what you do, right? Like, run the football and get some success, but don't get in there and try to be the Lions. Don't try to replicate their offensive game plan, because that's not you. All right, when the Ravens have the ball, to me, I'm very concerned about the thing you're always concerned about when you play the Ravens, and that is their run game. And they're coming off of 2 straight weeks of not having very much success, nowhere near the success that they're used to expecting. They played the Browns. They had 16 carries from their running backs in Lamar. 16 carries for 43 yards. 43. Right? Derrick Henry had 23 yards in that game. Against the Lions on Monday, 19 carries. And it was just Henry and Lamar for 85 yards. Clearly, you could see the way Derrick Henry reacted from the fumbles in that game. All we're hearing is they don't run the football. They haven't run the football enough. Hell, he only had 12 carries in that game against the Lions, and there was no reason that game said, don't give him the ball. You got to stop them, and you got to believe they're coming in with that as a game plan, and you got to stop them from running the football. And that's what, and they know this, and Spags knows this. They play the Ravens every year. You got to stop them from running the football, and that's where this game starts. And we can see their offense can still function. They have the number 1 scoring offense. I mean, they still put up 41 points on the Browns, and they only ran it for 43 yards. They still put up 30, in the game on Monday against the Lions and didn't run the football. So they have other options, but it's much more difficult for them when you take that element out of the game.
And the weird thing is the Chiefs had actually been really good against the run in the first couple of games of the season. And then last week they went up against Scatabo and it looked as though they had never tackled somebody before. Now, Scatabo is a unique player, and
he's something else now.
He's like a ball of butcher knives trying to tackle him. Good luck. And Derrick Henry's basically the same thing, right? So that's what makes me a little bit nervous, Ron, is just in terms of stylistically, they're not the same. They're not a one-for-one replica of one another, but it's probably about as close as you can come to Derrick Henry stylistically, not athleticism and all that other stuff in the NFL right now. And the Chiefs did not do a very good job of getting Scatabo down to the ground. The other element in this game is Lamar Jackson and what he brings with his legs. And that's always been a problem for the Chiefs. In his last 3 games against the Kansas City Chiefs in the regular season, Lamar Jackson had 125, 105, and 85 rushing yards, including 2 touchdowns against the Chiefs. That's dating back to 2020. It's not just Derrick Henry. They also have to make sure that they have somebody that is there for Lamar Jackson and his legs, especially on third down as well.
I'm going to tell you this, Serda. They've been playing teams like this so much. And they've been doing pretty well. I mean, just think about their the teams they play a lot. They played the Bills a lot. That's Josh and Cook is becoming that, where you got to deal with both of them. We talked about Baltimore a lot. Hey, man, I was really impressed in what they did to the Eagles. And now Jalen's not Lamar from a speed perspective, but Jalen is a really good runner. And Jalen is somebody that they also will run design runs. Like it's not just, scrambles, design runs where they use, the read option with him and Barkley the way they do. And Barkley had 88 yards where he had a couple of runs, but there was never at any point in the game where I was like, man, Saquon is killing them. Right. And to me, if they can kind of have the same way and Cam was, as you said, unique. I mean, but he still had 60 yards, right? Like their run game overall, I mean, wasn't great. And they stopped him in certain big spots. So like they've been able to play pretty well against us. Again, even in the Super Bowl, the run game is not what killed them from both sides, right? A little bit, some scrambles from Hurts did a bit, but I don't know. That Eagles game makes me feel a lot better about this one. And we know this is a copycat league. Now, I don't know if this is just a deal that the Detroit Lions have certain personnel that allows them, that double spy thing that they were doing, where they were able to, they kind of held linebackers, and sometimes it would be 1 and sometimes it would be 2, and they weren't giving him a place to escape and run. That led to a lot of those 7 sacks that he gave up. So I'm not saying I feel great about how they're going to handle this sort of, but they've been seeing this type of matchup a lot with a lot of the teams. They keep having to play a lot.
I think the Chiefs do have a good run defense. Like, I feel pretty good about that, but I do think this has been something that's kind of popped up over the last couple of years where they have games like this where they just don't seem like they want to tackle very well. And hopefully the Giants were just one of those kinds of games, because it does feel like they show up and they compete in these kinds of contests against teams like the Ravens. Like, they played the Ravens last year, week 1, like they held Derrick Henry to, I think, a pretty low yardage total. Like, they've held Saquon to pretty low yardage totals. Like, they seem to step up in those types of games. But obviously, Derrick Henry has killed this team in years past, like when he was with the Titans and stuff like that. But I think they'll be fine. It's just that, like, yeah, Derrick Henry is still Derrick Henry, and you can be fine for the majority of a game, and then all of a sudden he rips off a 70-yard touchdown, and it looks like you didn't do anything against him.
Yeah. I'm with you. Cam Scatterboo is a unique player because I feel like he was the only one they struggled to tackle. Like, and I'll be honest with you, I bet you. Now I don't know if Cam's going to be doing this his whole career. He did it all the way in college, but I bet you most players would say I'd rather have to tackle Derrick Henry than Cam Scatterboo because Derrick Henry's not always trying to deliver a blow every time he's running. Uh, and, and I like so I don't know that that is the case. All right. I think another big thing is in the secondary with Spags. How is he going to use treat Zay Flowers? How is he going to use Trent McDuffie? That is going to be a big thing to watch.
It is. I think they might be starting to figure this out, Ron. They had an easy button. We all knew they could hit it at any moment's notice, and they have finally decided to do so. They decided, you know what, Trent McDuffie, you're an all-pro nickel corner. Let's go ahead and use you in the nickel a little bit more often, which means that Shamari Connor is going deep more often. It allows them to utilize Noel Williams outside.
Like
and he had a couple of moments where he looked like a young player that was a little grabby in the first real extended action, but he made a couple of plays, man, and that's all you can ask. And it reminded me a little bit of what we saw from Jalen Watson early on, where you could just feel like, all right, there's something here. I don't know what the ceiling is. I don't know what it's going to look like, not much less 5 years from now, certainly 5 games from now, but I kind of want to see it. So I like what they're doing there. It always made sense to me. We'll see if Christian Fulton is able to get back for this game as well. Maybe that can be another player that's added into the outside mix. But we've talked about this before, Ron. When you're going up against the Ravens, they don't have a lot of receivers that scare you. It's really just Zay Flowers. Hopkins has had a couple of moments. Bateman's all right. He'll probably have a big play that drives you crazy at some point, but overall, he's not somebody that's a huge threat for you. So yeah, Zay Flowers gets a decent amount of his work out of the slot. When he goes there, I would assume you're going to see a lot of Trent McDuffie going up against him, as you should. It's something that they finally decided to utilize last week. And my hope is those numbers only continue to increase as we go along with McDuffie getting the majority of his time in the slot now.
Yeah, Flowers and Andrews, who's one that's hurt them. All right, sir, to grab me my music right now. This segment that is sweeping the nation, a little certified or imposter. I say a statement, you tell me if it's certified or imposter. Serda, I will start with you. Harrison Butker is becoming a serious problem. Certified or imposter?
I think it's real. I know, a couple years ago when he got hurt and then he came back from injury, it took him a little bit to get his feet underneath him, and then he was lights out in the playoffs. And hopefully, if the Chiefs make the playoffs again this year, we all assume that they will, Harrison Butker will be fine. But struggling this early in the season and no injury or something to be heard of, it's concerning because it's just maybe he's just hitting that kicker wall or something, or maybe something else is going on. I don't know. But he simply needs to be more automatic. We can't be questioning whether or not it's a smart decision to trot him out there to kick a field goal.
Certified, it's a problem right now. Imposter, that I'm going to worry about it if he gets into a big spot. I will have 100% confidence until he misses one of these big kicks. Game on the line. If they are lining up in this game, Ron, and he's already missed a field goal against the Baltimore Ravens, and they're down by 2, he's going out there to kick the game-winning field goal. I will believe that he is going to make that kick until I actually see it miss. So it is certified. It is absolutely a problem. It's costing them points right now. They've already been chasing points in some of these games. It is an imposter in terms of me having a huge concern about it long term.
That's really lame. You try to use them both. I'm gonna say imposter. I'm with you. I don't look. We've seen him have some weird moments where he may miss some kicks, but I trust him and I believe he is going to make the big kicks. And can we just really I mean, 58 yards is one of the misses. Like I know people are making kicks. He did make a 59-yarder like on a fire drill.
He's also missed 2 extra points.
Now, yes, now again, yes. Now, one of them was 48 yards on the throat slash. Like, I mean, and I do expect that he should make that. But like, I mean, you're in Brazil, you barely miss one. Like, I'm not over the top yet with him. I'm going imposter on that. All right, let's get our predictions in. You know what? I'll start this time. I don't feel good about this game for the Chiefs. I don't feel good about this game. So I'm going to go with the Ravens here. I think the Chiefs got to score in the 27-30 range, and I'm not confident that they can do that. I hope I'm dead wrong, but I'm going to go Ravens 28, Chiefs 20.
I'm going to take the Ravens too. I'm going to take them 31, Chiefs 27. I hope I'm wrong. I hope the Chiefs are really starting to figure some things out. I do think that is certainly the case on defense. We'll see on the offensive side of the ball. But I just feel like Baltimore is like desperate. And like there's like a bigger idea around Baltimore and like the problems that they have. Like they can't drop this game in the way that the Chiefs could probably drop it and still overcome their circumstances.
I think this is the first time that we have swept it where we're all taking the opposition. I am also taking the Baltimore Ravens in this game. I think they will win this 30-26. I think the Chiefs will show you some signs of life. I think the Ravens are the more desperate team right now, as I mentioned earlier today, and I think they ultimately win this one at Arrowhead.
And the better team, probably a more talented team right now. Worthy comes back, I might feel a little different. We'll see. We are out.